With the Nintendo Switch 2 finally announced, we got our first official look at the console, the Joy-Cons, and the all but confirmed launch game, Mario Kart 9. But in that slick, roughly 2.5-minute trailer, Nintendo also hinted at a pretty cool feature, which if it turns out to be true, could be a game changer. Now, if we look at Nintendo's history with hardware, they've always been the most creative out of the big three, and are constantly coming up with hardware that inspires new types of games and new ways to play. So with a hint in the trailer that the new Joy-Cons will offer mouse-like control, and a recently published patent further confirming this feature, it seems the possibilities are wide open for PC game ports, as well as new ways to play existing and upcoming titles on the Switch 2. So in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the mouse control feature, the type of games we can expect on the Switch 2, and a little bit about the patent. So let's get straight into it. So with the Switch 2, it seems Nintendo has taken the excellent OG Switch hardware, tweaked it, refined it, made it better, whilst also throwing in some new features along the way. Now, when they first hinted at mouse control in that announcement trailer, I was so excited. I don't care what the naysayers and the Debbie Downers say. As a big PC gamer myself, the Nintendo Switch 2's mouse mode is by far the most exciting feature coming to this new console that we know of, because Nintendo always has something up their proverbial sleeve. Now, I talked about this next point on a recent podcast I was on. Go and check out the Nintendo podcast on my friend Attack the Backlogs channel. Great content creator, and link to his channel and the podcast are in the description of this video. Now, I've been playing games like Civilization since Civ 2 back on Windows 95. I'm showing my age here. And there is no substitute for a good mouse input with a game like Civilization. Now, I tried the Civilization on consoles and I just couldn't with it. I couldn't get my head around the fiddly controls, and trying to play on the go on the Switch's small screen, it just wasn't a pleasant experience. Now, you could argue, you can just plug a keyboard and mouse into the Switch while it's docked. But that doesn't help when I'm playing portably, and at that point, if I'm reaching for a keyboard and a mouse, I might as well just turn on my PC and play it there. And the same goes with games like 2 Point Hospital, which I absolutely love. It plays fantastic on PC as expected, but not so great on consoles. But with proper mouse input via the Joy-Cons, I can see myself revisiting games like Civilization and 2 Point Hospital on the Switch 2. I just hope that using the Joy-Cons as a mouse is going to be comfortable. It's going to be ergonomic. I found the OG Joy-Cons rather fragile, to be honest. I mean, I've got big hands, but I found that they could also get uncomfortable after being held or used for like long periods of time. But with the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, they look much beefier, sturdier, with better build quality. But I do have questions. Like, how smooth will the Joy-Cons be when using them in mouse mode? How smooth is that going to feel? Are they going to work on different types of surfaces? The trailer made it look like they're very robust, but it remains to be seen if that actually translates into real world usage. How are the Joy-Cons going to hold up after regular use in mouse mode? We all know about Joy-Con drift with the OG Switch. Are we going to get a repeat of that? Are the Joy-Cons going to break on the Switch 2 for using too much in mouse mode? These are all questions I have. But the most important question, the absolute most important question is, will Nintendo chuck in a mouse mat for free with every Switch? Nah, I'm just joking, ignore me. Now let's move on to ultimately what sells the hardware. The games. With mouse mode on the Switch 2, what type of games can we expect? Now, my first thought and dream when I saw the mouses gliding around in that announcement trailer was, oh my gosh, could they bring World of Warcraft to the Switch 2? And if so, I may just have to reactivate my subscription and try it out on there. I mean, I'm a big World of Warcraft fan. I played in the expansion a little bit, but kind of fell out of it, and too many other games to play. But back on track, I then thought about it a bit more, and I thought, how about mouse support for Metro Prime 4 Beyond? Because I have absolutely no doubt that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is a cross-gen title launched on the OG Switch and the Switch 2. So can you imagine that with mouse controls, with mouse support? That would be amazing. And then I thought, what about if Nintendo adds mouse support for some of their existing games, such as Super Mario Maker 2, WarioWare? What if we get another WarioWare DIY game? And Splatoon fans, I can see them being very, very happy with precision mouse controls on the Switch 2. And what if they bring new games to the Switch? Like a brand new Mario Paint. I hear that all the time, because we have not had a new game in the Mario Paint series since Mario Artist released for the 64DD add-on to the N64 back in 1999. Good lord. I mean, I can easily see Nintendo bringing, a brand new Mario Paint to the Switch 2. That would be awesome. But mouse mode also got me thinking about other potential games and ideas that could come to the Switch too. Like, could we see a return of stylus games? Or a flurry of Nintendo DS ports? How about more touchscreen orientated games? Some new point and click games or visual novels? With mouse mode, there are so many different types of games that could potentially come to the Switch 2. And with Microsoft confirming that Call of Duty will make a return to Nintendo platforms, could they implement mouse controls for the Switch 2 version of Call of Duty? We haven't had Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform since the Wii U. They completely skipped the Switch, so we are long overdue for some Call of Duty. And how about Fortnite fans? Arguably one of the most popular games in the world. Those fans who would love to use mouse and more precision controls on their existing Switch to play the game, but don't fancy busting out their keyboard and mouse? Could Switch 2 mouse controls act as a viable alternative? And third-party developers, what sort of things could they come up with? What sort of interesting titles could they come up with? Who knows? Be very interesting to see. And going back to games like Civilization, the developer could patch in mouse controls to their existing games whilst also implementing them into any future releases. The possibilities are literally endless. And mouse controls in Civilization on the Switch would definitely get me to revisit that game. And lastly, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the patent awarded to Nintendo that was recently published by the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO. Now, a simplified summary of the text associated with the patent has Nintendo describing using a laser to define the Joy-Con's movements over a surface, and mentions using the controllers for mouse applications. When a Joy-Con is held like a mouse, the thumb remains on the analog stick, indicating that it could also be usable in mouse mode. Now, this patent was submitted over 2 years ago, back in January 2023. So Nintendo has had a lot of time, has had plenty of time to work on this and use it with the Switch 2. But looking at some of these images, this is the type of innovation and risk taking I like to see from Nintendo. It's what they're known for, but I like to see it again from Nintendo, because Nintendo is a very different company today compared to their wacky and zany Wii and DS days. Sadly, Iwata is no longer with us, and the new CEO he's a lot more conservative. But in saying that, the entire video game market itself has changed compared to the DS and Wii era. So in turn, Nintendo has also had to change with it. And there were 2 other images that caught my attention in this patent. Now, maybe I need to go to Specsavers, but these look like a Pro Controller type device that can split in half, and then each part can then be used as like a mouse-like device. Now, what on earth is Nintendo cooking up here? I mean, I swear, going into their R&D department must be like entering Willy Wonka's chocolate factory for the first time, because the stuff that they must come up with that, maybe never even comes to market it must be just absolutely bonkers. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. I mean, what do you think about the topics we've discussed today? Are you excited about mouse controls on the Switch 2? Ultimately, we won't know what it's like until we've tried it ourselves. But I, for one, am incredibly excited to see how Nintendo might use this feature. and what crazy, imaginative and amazing games will end up on the Switch 2. I mean, look at how successful the Wii was. Motion controls weren't new at that time, but they were very popular. But what Nintendo did was take this existing concept and make it more affordable and accessible. And it appealed to people who wouldn't otherwise touch a console, wouldn't even consider playing on a video game console. And the Wii came along, and I'm playing Wii tennis with my grandma and my parents, who would never in a million years even think about touching a console because it just didn't occur to them. But it made it accessible, it made it fun, it made it interesting for people who wouldn't otherwise be interested. So I'm wondering if Nintendo could do this with mouse mode on the Switch 2. People who may not have otherwise thought about buying a console might say, oh, actually, I can play my PC games on this device. I might give it a try. Just something to consider. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like this video, please smash that like button. It really does help out the channel. Leave a comment down below. I would love to know your thoughts. Subscribe if you are somebody new, and I will see you lovely people on the next video. Cheers.